to what it means to be a hot wife from the male perspective. So what we're doing is, if you tuned into our show last week, which was our premiere show, we were just talking about what it means to be a hot wife. And so the show itself is really about celebrating love, life, and marriages. And so with that being said, we want to really kind of break it down a little bit in terms of understanding that we're talking about love in terms of loving yourself unconditionally. Because I believe when you love yourself, then you bring something all different to your life. And when you love your life, then you can bring something even better to a marriage. So last week, we kind of got into that, and we did that by looking at really some characteristics that I found from Huffington Post on an article that says 10 Rules of Being a Sexy Woman. And then a Fox had an article, please tell them what your article was and where
Yes,
it was from.
that was the wife list from goodguyswag.com. And it was what makes a sexy wife. What do they look for in a woman?
All right. Well, definitely we want to know what the male perspective is on what they're looking for. And we also want to know, because this article that I have was written by a woman. So just to kind of compare the two, we broke them down. And last week we went into the first three on each list.
Right.
So for me, my first three were, number one, you carry yourself like a lady at all times. So we thought that was really important. It says that, when you look at the words woman and classy, it should be synonymous. The second thing was you stand on your own feet, meaning that even though sometimes a man is the breadwinner, a lot of times in relationships, a woman should still be fiscally and financially secure. She should have her own. She should know how to take care of things. She should be in a position to where she can help her spouse. And if something were to happen, be able to take over if need be. And then the third thing I had was you don't throw yourself at anyone. And that just means basically, saying that as a woman, you carry yourself as a lady at all times. And you respect the fact that what you bring to the table is worth somebody pursuing, not for you throwing yourself at anybody.
That's right.
So those are our first three, and we're going to get into the next one. But I want A Fox to share her first three.
Okay, and the recap for last week for Good Guy Swag, the first thing they look for is she shares your beliefs. Men think that it's important for the wife to believe in what they believe in. They have similar goals so they can, prepare life together and be on one accord as it relates to what they want out of life. Number two, she makes you a better man. We know behind every great man is a good woman,
Yeah.
someone that's supportive, someone that believes in what he does and helps him get there. Because a lot of times you can believe it, but not necessarily help them. So
Exactly.
that's what they're actually looking for. And that she's trustworthy. That's number three. They want someone that they actually can put all of their trust in. It's very hard for a man to trust a woman. So, that is extremely important to him, especially as it relates to, being a secure husband and making her feel like a secure wife. So those were the top three from last week.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to go ahead and delve into the next level of three as it comes to the list. So for me, I have on here that you portray the right image.
Oh,
One of the things in terms of, being a sexy woman is, if you think about a lot of times on social media or even on, TV, reality TV shows, all of that, you see a lot of women who feel like less is more, meaning that the less clothes they have on, the more opportunities they have to get a man. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen the little things on Facebook where they go back and they reflect back to what women look like and how they dressed decades ago.
oh yeah.
When
Yeah.
they were
Classy.
classy, they were fly and fabulous
Covered
looking,
up.
but they were covered up.
Right.
So
Yes.
it wasn't, it's kind of sort of like leaving something to the imagination, because you don't want to just be so suggestively twerking and moving and showing all of your body parts and thinking that a real man is going to want to do anything more than just have a sexual type of relationship with you.
Right.
And I mean, not to say that there aren't instances where you meet a man and for whatever reason you all hit it off and you go to the next level and you may end up being married, but 9 times out of 10, 9.8 times out of 10, I would venture to say that a man that looks at you in that manner is not looking to do more than spend a few nights with you or just enjoy a specific type of relationship, but nothing that's going to take it to that next level of where you're going to become a wife or
The
become the
long
mother of
term,
his children.
right.
Correct. So that is the one from mine in terms of that. What's your next one, Angela?
Okay, number 4 for me is she has ambition. One thing that I notice about men that attracts them about women are go-getters.
Right.
Women who are about their business. You know, a lot of times we say as women, oh, we want this good man and he's got to have this bullet point and that bullet point. But at the end of the day, they actually want to see what we bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? If we expect their bills to be, paid on time and them to have good credit, and then we come and we don't,
Right.
what does that mean to them? It's like, hey, she doesn't take care of things, because a lot of times the man wants to, do what he needs to do and feel comfortable that you can pay bills, you can balance a checkbook, you can
Absolutely.
invest if you needed to. You guys can have responsible financial relations. That's what I call it. Responsible financial
I like that.
relations.
Yes, I like that too.
But it is so important because, of marriages splitting apart, one of the biggest things is finances.
Yes,
So you
definitely.
definitely want to have that in order, and that's what they look for, a woman who is a go-getter and who wants to have her own. They don't mind that. It's a lot of men that's not intimidated by that.
And you know what? I really think that the direction that we're going into now, there's so many more women who are embracing that.
Yes,
I think
it is.
that the desire to have it all, the desire to be not only,
Absolutely.
a
Yes.
good wife, a good mother, but you want to be able to go out and pursue a career
That's
and know
right.
that you can handle that, or go out and be an entrepreneur and go out and run your own business and not feel like you got to compromise in any area.
Right.
And with that being said, it really is a matter of balance. And I think
Yes.
a lot of times, when women get discouraged, when women feel like they can't have it all, it's because you don't have that balance.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't take away your desire to want to go out there and produce something outside of what you can do just inside the household.
That's right.
And it's
Totally
nothing
agree.
definitely
That's
against
right.
women who, want to be homemakers, because it's definitely, that's an awesome responsibility and an awesome job
And that takes
in and
a
of
lot.
itself.
It
It
does.
takes
really,
a lot.
really
That's
does.
a real
Yes,
job right
That's
there.
a real job, exactly.
Yes.
And you know what? To be honest with you, even as a homemaker and raising children, the same skill set that you use in a business environment,
Absolutely.
you use it to run your household.
That's right.
So definitely for people who look at it as like, okay, she's not doing anything but staying at home, they don't need to underestimate what a woman's bringing to the table by being a stay-at-home mom,
Absolutely.
That's
because
right.
it takes a lot
It
to
takes
run a
lot
household.
to run a house.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It really
I,
does.
I agree with the balance completely. I believe that in having balance, we have to understand that it's not going to be 100% across the board. I think that's where we fail. Is that we think I can do 100% in my marriage, I can give 100% to my kids, I can give 100% to my job, and 100% to my business. Well, that's not possible. You're only
Right.
one person. So you have to understand, if you're okay with 50% to my marriage, 20% to my kids, 10% to this, and 10%, where it adds up to 100 and you're fulfilled, I think that's where the balance comes in. I think we try so hard to be everything to everyone
True.
that
That's a
we
woman's
end up
nature.
Yeah, it's a
falling
woman's
behind,
nature.
or
Yeah.
feeling less than or worthless or whatever, like it didn't work. It works if you have the balance, and then
Yes.
you know what I'm saying. I believe, in all things, Holy Spirit,
Amen.
husband, wife, family, then career, and if you have those things prioritized with balance, I believe they all can mesh together and work.
Amen.
I do, and I really believe that a lot of times for women, we take it to the extreme of making sure everyone else is good
Yeah,
and leave ourselves depleted.
all the time.
And so when you do that, you create that void, and it's really hard to make sure everyone else is full when you're not full yourself. So you got to figure out ways to make sure that you take care of yourself, whether it's, doing something that, with your girls, or doing some alone time, getting you some peace, whether it's, going away for a massage, or, getting your hair and nails done, whatever it is that makes you feel good or helps you to regain your inner strength so that you can continue to move forward. That's what you need.
Yes. So listen, with that being said, we've spoken a couple of topics, and, we have this male perspective waiting on the other line. And so I just wanted to be able to tell you, Burnell, real careful with the background, because you can hear everything. So just make sure, if you can, so that we can hear you clearly, take care of the background noise. You might have to get into an even quieter place. But with that being said, we'd like to welcome you to this show. How are you this evening?
Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
I'm great.
Evening. So have
So
you
let's
been
get right to
listening?
it, shall we? First and foremost, all of y'all got me confused as heck. All of you. My whole thing is, I don't know if you're talking about 20s to 30s, 30s to 40s, 40s plus. You're talking about men wanting an established woman. The topic is hot wife, hot life. Okay. Depending upon what age group you're talking about, none of you struck anything. Not as far as I'm concerned. This is a man's point of view. You want it, you about to get it. When I was in my 20s, it was a body, a face. That's it. I don't care about your mind. Wasn't even thinking about your mind. Wasn't thinking about being established. Didn't care where you were going. Just wanted you to be fine as wine and let's rock and roll. That's it. 30 to 40, I now look for something that I'm dealing with an establishment situation. I want beauty, body, and brains. Okay, so now if I'm thinking about a relationship in regards to looking at a woman that could be a wife, okay, I need to establish me in regards to what I'm working with. Okay, you guys were talking about what a man looks for. I'm in church these days. I'm seeing sisters in 4 and 5 inch heels. And I ain't talking about no young girls either. All right, so in regards to who's doing what where, depends upon how we're going to be looking at certain things. I've seen some sisters in their late 40s and 50s wearing inappropriate clothing, okay, trying to keep up with the younger girls for whatever particular reason. All right, so in regards to what you think we're looking for, a woman is a woman. I don't care if she's 17 or 70. You're still a woman. There are some things that will hold true from 17 to 70. You're still a woman. What I look at in regards to where I'm at in my life, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, will determine what I consider a hot wife for a hot life. Now, children, we're not even going to talk about kids because we don't understand that a great woman or a good man deals with a great woman, and you come across a family situation that's going to take care of it. So parental situations, mentally and emotionally, will kick in and will do what needs to be done. But you have to look at our day and age. We're 2017 now. Marriages, they're more 50% divorcing. More women are on the planet than men. That's number one. But in addition to that, more women are not looking for marriage. They're not. You have so many other women out there right now that want to be able to do their thing, go where they want, spend the money that they want, enjoy what they want, have their own place. Okay, and not share and shack up or whatever else. Hit it and quit it, just like men, and be able to be free in that particular aspect. And I'm not talking just at 20s and 30s or 40s. I'm talking about women who are in their 50s and plus who are money makers, okay, who have body, brain, and beauty, who are doing their own things in that aspect. So a hot wife to me is a woman that can carry her own and correct me when I'm wrong without putting me down. That's what I'm looking at. A woman that I can bring a plan to and say, hey, baby, I want to put this together. I want to make this happen. And I want you to rip it apart. Why? I said rip apart my plan. Don't rip me apart. Well, that's stupid. You shouldn't have done no. Poke holes in it so then when I go out there and bring it to individuals that might invest or loan me or help me to get us further along, my plan is sure. It's solid. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a sister that can play her position, not underneath me, but next to me, saying that, okay, you can be the man, and knowing that you got a woman that's willing to back you up. A woman that knows how to shut up. And I mean it exactly like that. When there's a time to, and a time to tap me on my shoulder and say, you're going the wrong way. Not belittle, put down, or step over. But at the same token, knows that she's protected, respected, loved, admired, and desired. And that takes work. And that takes a partnership situation. Not me, King, or Tarzan, and you, Jane, underneath me. No. But a woman has to set standards. I don't care if she's 17 or 70. She has to set standards that are saying what she will and will not tolerate, what she will and will not do, and stand to it. Because if you don't have any standards for you, I'm not going to have any standards for you. And that's how it works. So in regards, but you guys confused me in regards to all the other stuff that you added into it when you were talking about hot wife, hot life. Keep it right there. Don't add in kids or anything else. Let's just deal with the individuals. And please be specific on the demographics of the age group that you're dealing with. Because the way that you ladies are talking now, you're established. You know yourselves. You know your bodies. You know where you're going because you know where you came from and what you've been through. There are a lot of sisters that don't have that. You have to understand that a lot of sisters out there don't have other good sisters around them these days to show them how to dress appropriately, how to speak appropriately, how to not look for that idiot that's going to mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually abuse them. We don't have the protection that we had back in the day for our sisters and for even some of these men out there. You know, you've got individuals that have had no grounding on how to look at a good woman, treat a good woman, and be a good man. There is no training for that anymore. There is no training for that anymore. So people are going off on social media. I look good. I feel good because somebody told me I look good. I should feel good. There is no longer any self-confidence in regards to what I'm seeing out there as far as women are concerned. Everybody has an opinion on something. You know, I love the age that I am right now. I'm in my 50s because I don't give a damn what nobody thinks. I know how to carry certain things, and I like to be able to do certain things, and I love an intelligent woman. I love a woman that has a vocabulary. I love a woman that's well-rounded. I have 3 questions for a potential wife. Just 3. What have you read lately? Where do you see yourself in 30 days? And do you have a passport? That's it. That tells me if you have a passport, you want to travel, or you have traveled, or you plan to travel. What have you read lately? If you say nothing, I can't mess with that. And then, what are you doing for yourself, or what do you see yourself in just 30 days? You don't have any trips planned. You don't have any activities planned for yourself. Well, I just go to work and I come home. I'm not talking 3 months from now. I'm just talking 30 days. Well, there's a movie that I want to see or something. Just got to be something that you're looking at within that very, very short time span to show me that even on a personal level that you have short-term goals. I know and understand that in a relationship, and this is only because of my age, that there are not 2 people in a relationship, that there are 3. And God ain't it, because God is in every breath I take and every step that I make. What I mean is, you as a woman are a woman before you come across anything or anybody. So you should have your own goals, ideals, plans, thoughts for yourself. Period. First and foremost. No matter what I want to do, you should have things that you need to do for you. To heck with me, as I should have. And then the third thing, or the third person in the relationship, is us. Not first or second, but third. When we come together and we merge things together, when we start making plans together, that's the third person in the relationship. Because if I'm working or if I got a business that I'm dealing with, that's mine. Just like you have yours. And you can share that with me, but it's still yours. And in most relationships, what we forget is somebody always gets absorbed. You either take over me or I take over you. It's common. It happens. Even in marriage. Somebody says, well, let me do this, let me do this, let me do this, let me do this, until one day you rediscover yourself and you say, hold up, I need some space. I want to check out something else. And your partner, man or woman, is going to be like, you ain't been doing that. Don't start doing that now. I need you to keep doing what you've been doing. But if you establish that from the beginning, that makes a hot wife for a hot life. Because now I have to recognize the fact that you have things that you need to do. And you make your time for you, and I'll share that time with you. That's a hot life. But it took me years to come to this understanding. I didn't get this overnight. So when you speak about some things, again, deal with the demographics of where we're coming from to where we are, and then again where we're going. 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 plus. Because women that are 40 plus, you better have it together. You better have it together. You should know what you want to work with, where you're going, even if you're still struggling financially, and most of us are. You should know who you are mentally and emotionally and spiritually, even if you're struggling financially. And a lot of us still don't have it together financially. That's not a roadblock or a deal breaker for a man that's looking for a great woman. Sometimes you got to come across a great partner mentally or emotionally to enhance your spiritual and your physical. I might not be the best fit for somebody mentally or emotionally, but I could be spiritually and financially. And that's how we complement each other. We are not equal. A relationship is never 50-50. It isn't, won't be, never will be. I'm not 50% of a person. We have our ups and downs and our ebbs and flows. And we have to know and understand through communication we can breach that. That's what makes a hot wife for a hot life. I want you happy and I want you healthy. And that means we continuously grow with each other mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. And it takes communication. So my definition of a hot wife at this moment is still beauty, brains, body. And not necessarily in that order, because only a dog wants a bone, so there's the body. And if the brain is big, I could always talk about anything else. And it's always nice to look at a pretty face. I'm not, what would I say, Casanova, and I'm not a great looking man. I don't think that's what mine is. I think my beauty is my intelligence, and I can make you laugh. So, I know there are men who are far better looking than I, taller, bigger, stronger, whatever. But I do have something that I offer and I want to bring to the table. But as a hot wife, you need to have standards. And standards aren't being taught anymore. So how do we find this hot wife? Thank you.
Wow.
You said a mouthful.
I'm telling you. Oh, wow. He said a lot.
Well, listen, we are going to marinate on what
Yes,
this
yes,
gentleman
yes.
has told us thus far. And when we come back, we've got to take a break. When we come back, we will get back to our bullet points of what a hot wife is. We thank you for his commentary. We're going to expound on that.
Absolutely.
We definitely want to be able to speak to it. Listen, you are listening to Hot Wife, Hot Life. I am one of your hosts, A Fox. We have K Rich and A Love in the house, and a special guest, Burnell Paul II, who gives a male perspective on what it means to be a hot wife. So, with that being said, he gave us a lot of meat, okay?
Yes, he did.
Did he not?
Yes, he did.
He brought it. So, like you said, Burnell, we are very intelligent women. So, we want to expound on exactly what you have stated. So, I'm going to have K Rich handle the beginning of this commentary.
Well, we're going to start with the positive. They say you always start with the positive, right? So I love what you said about eventually you become absorbed into each other. Eventually one of you become absorbed into it. I believe that's very
Amen.
true. I love that you said that because that is very true. We often find ourselves losing ourselves in the relationship and losing ourselves into another person or maybe even into the kids. And so those are things that you have to be aware of, and then have to understand also how to come out of that, how to transition out of that, and possibly stay together,
Yes.
possibly pull apart.
Drift
Who
apart,
knows? Just
yes.
depending on what happens in that transition. Also, I love your 3 things that you ask a woman. What have you read? What's your what are your 30-day goals? And do you have a passport? Because that is important today. I believe that, now, I don't know if people will answer, what have you read? Because most people are on social media, so they're using Kindle and every other type of ebook. So I don't know if you mean a handheld book or does that matter? But I do believe that it's important to educate, inform yourself, learn something new every day. I love that, Burnell. I love that concept. Again, when you talk about demographics, though, you see what I'm saying? When you talk about demographics and those 2 areas right there, I don't know if it's possible to break down demographics for us because we are talking about a hot wife, hot life from all perspectives.
Amen.
Like even a 20-year-old and whatever they're dealing with and their mentality is at that time or what their struggles are at that time next to a 30-year-old and their struggles in a 40 and so forth and so forth. So even though you may be 40 and up, a lot of 40-year-olds don't have it together. That's true. It's a lot of
That's true.
issues and baggage that we've carried with us over into those years that spilled over. So if you haven't handled it then, you ain't handling it now. You just dealing with it. It's dealing with you rather. And so it's important. I think that it's kind of hard to break down those demographics. I think we want to cover it all. That was my takeaway
Exactly.
from that. I think we
Yes.
want to cover it all from the perspective of a woman. Now, I'm not a man, and so you spoke for the men, and I think it is different for men because men mature a little later than women.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes when a woman has a child, they mature a little faster, things change for them quicker. So even though we may be 20-something, having a child kind of shifts some things in perspective for us, or should, let me say that, shift some things into perspective for us, so things kind of shift and change for us quicker than they would for a man. So while you may be looking at the booty still, she may be focused on, okay, now I got to go to school or I got to figure out a career path now because I have 2 or more people to think about in this situation as opposed to, little Johnny over here still want to go to the club every night and smoke every night. I got to,
That's
I
right.
might still deal with him, but my priorities have changed for me. So I don't know, ladies, what y'all think about the demographic thing? I'm just like, I don't know.
I think in terms of the demographics, I mean, it's really difficult because, again, as you say, when life happens, things change. And even in terms of, and what I picked up really, a lot is about, just the standards. And I think for women, a lot of times, standards, sometimes you go in, especially when you're younger, you go in because you don't know what to expect. You
Right.
don't really know what standards you should have because
Right.
you haven't been, like you said, you don't have the people to raise you
You had
or to
experiences,
give you
right.
that example of what standards are.
Right.
So you go in, and a lot of times for a lot of women, you're looking for love.
You're looking
Because
for
you
what
don't
you
have-
or what you either saw at home or
Correct.
what you saw on the TV.
Or what
Right?
you thought it
What
should
you thought
be,
it looked
what
like.
you thought it
Right,
looked
right,
like.
right.
And you
Amen.
don't have those role models. You don't have, parents who may have been together for years. You may
Right.
not have, even a male figure in your household. You may not have, uncles or cousins or somebody
Right.
who can come in and say, as a woman, this is what you should expect from a man. So you have to kind of go out there and kind of feel your way through in terms of what your standards are. And a lot of times at 20 something, you're not going to
Yeah.
have the standards that you pick up along the way by the time you get to 40 something or
Exactly.
50 something, when you decide that, you know what, I'm not going to tolerate being with a man and I have to take care of all the expenses. I'm not going to tolerate being with somebody and you're out in the streets more than you're at home. So you got to start thinking of, you know, with the demographics, there's a lot that comes into play with that. And so again, like you said, with women, you know, maturing sometimes a lot faster than men on most cases, our thought processes and what we deal with and what our expectations are going to be very much
Totally
different from what we get from the men at that same age.
Right.
That's right.
I totally agree. Just all of that, I agree.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
There's so many facets into it. You can't just lump it. You can't just.
Well,
it
you
can't
really
be,
can't.
So straight lace. It just can't, because again, like you said, life happens in every area of your life, in every age group.
In every
So
age group.
just
there's
because
some
I might have been
20-year-olds
mature at 20
Yep.
to 40, and then I had a midlife crisis, that
At
said
50,
throw my hands
exactly.
up and say, you know what, I'm finna live. I'm gonna go wear my high heels and my short skirt because I didn't get to do it at 20.
That's
You see what
right.
I'm saying? So it's just a mindset, what's going on in your life, your environmental choices, and different things that bring you to the decision that you're at that point in your life.
And I think the purpose of the show, and that's one of the things that I definitely want to address with him, is that we're covering all of that because we're talking about, in general, what makes a hot wife.
Absolutely.
Period. And actually, you know, what we're working off of is from a male's perspective. At least the survey that I took was from a male's perspective and what they're looking for. So I know when he first came on, he said he was confused about what, you know, we were stating.
Gotcha.
And what he needed to know is that this is what guys said they wanted in a woman. And these were the bullet points that we were speaking of. So there was no age group or specification.
Right.
It was just saying, in general, when I'm now ready to take you as my wife, we're not
These are
talking
things I
about the
look
pre, you know, part of that. This is what they want as a wife.
No absolutes, Bernal. No absolutes in anything.
And so with that being said, number 5 for me, with the good guy swag, is she has to be selfless as far as he's concerned. A man likes a woman who thinks of them and other people, not just of herself and what her needs are. And that's very important for them, you know,
Right.
because when they're hurt, they want to know that she cares, not just about herself or what's inconveniencing her, you know. So that was another bullet point. That was number 5 on my list. What was
Now,
number
I'm
5
going to
on
take
yours?
2 because it kind of piggybacks a little bit off of what you said. And Bernal, I'm going to kind of address something that you said also. One of mine is saying that you don't compete or belittle. In the perspective of a woman,
love
you know,
that.
we
Say that.
talk about, you know, having confidence as a woman. And when you're confident about who you are, then you don't have a reason to hate on other women.
That's
You
right.
know, you take your time and you look at other women and you can find something to compliment
That's
somebody
right.
on. There's nothing wrong with saying, oh, I like her hair, I love your outfit, or I love your
Right.
shoes.
That's
There's
right.
nothing wrong with saying, you know, oh, you know what, she's a great speaker or whatever the case may be. Now, on the flip side of that, Bernal, you look at not belittling. And you mentioned that when you get a woman, you want a woman who is going, that you can feel safe enough to bring whatever it is that you have, whether it's about your business, whether it's about your, you know, insecurities, your dreams, whatever you have, and know that this woman is going to support you, encourage you, and not belittle you. She may pick apart, she may tear it and rip it up, as you put it, and she may give you a perspective, but that's only because she loves you enough not to send you out looking crazy when you're going out presenting it to somebody else. So you want a woman who's strong enough to be able to bring her opinion without feeling intimidated or feeling insecure that you're going to make her feel like she shouldn't have came at you that way because you know best. So again, when it comes to that perspective of not competing or belittling, if you know who you are, if you know what you bring to the table, then you can come and do all of that without making someone else feel like they're less than
Right.
That's
because of
right.
what you're bringing.
That's
And
right.
I was going to say, I mean, Bernal, I think that to speak to that, Angela, love, to speak to that is to say, again, you have to be so in tune with yourself. Both of you, as a couple, would have
Right.
to be so in tune with yourself. Because if you have a strong woman like that, if your insecurities are outweighing her independence or her ability to speak life into you, and you can't handle that, then it still ain't gonna work. You understand what I'm saying?
Draining.
Because
It's draining.
and vice versa. And so your emotions.
Well, I mean, a lot of men are like that, as well as a lot of women, as far as insecurities are concerned.
Right.
But again, what I like to bring to your attention as women, intelligent women, all of you, we didn't get to where we are right now. We had to go through a number of things in life. So there are signs and signals in regards to our insecurities, men and women. And if you come across somebody that you wish to have as your life partner, then you'll learn these things quickly and you'll make amends for them. You'll either strengthen them as far as their insecurities is concerned, or you will destroy them because they can't handle a number of other things as far as their insecurities are concerned. And that's how that goes. So,
Well, and I would actually beg
it all
to
comes out to
differ.
communication.
But I would actually beg to differ. Not everything comes so quickly. Because to be honest with you, you can start a marriage where you're both on even ground and even footing. And at that particular time, you're getting the support. Depending on the elevation and the evolution and the change that takes place at that particular time, that is when you may start noticing. Because, and I say that to say, so many marriages have, and people have stated in marriage that they started evenly, then one elevated over the other, and that's where those insecurities started to take effect, especially if one wants to stay stagnant and the other one wants to elevate and grow. So a lot of times you won't know that until you're actually faced with situations in the marriage that are going to bring this to the surface. It may not be right away.
Well, I mean, again, Angela, just speaking marriage, and I mean, as far as the relationship is concerned, again, most people aren't thinking marriage these days. I, like yourself, am thinking would like to have such deal. And like, I mean, I know what it takes as far as the partner is concerned. You know, we are experienced in that aspect, and no, it does not happen overnight. Some things you grow with, and some things resurface or surface while in a relationship. You may not even see it for years to come.
Okay.
And you're very, very, very right about that. But once you're married, I have to say to you, your partner or whomever that, you know, people are going through a similar situation, communication should already be established. So if a person becomes certain things, whether they're stagnant in some other areas, because I was in a relationship for 11 years, and found out that my partner was stagnant. They were comfortable where they were, not willing to grow. I was happy, but I'm never content. I always wish to grow, expand, reach out. And some other individuals don't want to do that. They like to stay where they are because it's comfortable. So that can cause a rift, not just being insecure mentally, emotionally, or physically. You know, some people are, and you do have that. But if you have a communicative situation where the two of you can talk about your fears, because an insecurity is a fear. If you can talk about that, then we can work through something at the very least.
And
that's where that is now.
But even communication takes time at certain points. Some people don't walk into
Oh,
a
okay, well, wait
marriage
a minute.
right
Now I got a
away.
problem with you. I got a problem with you with that. I mean, because you're talking marriage. And
Exactly.
I can't agree with you in that aspect when you're saying
But just because
communication
you
takes
marry
time.
somebody
If you marry
doesn't
somebody,
mean-
you got to be able to talk.
No, that
No.
doesn't
If you
mean that
marry
you know
somebody, you
everything
gotta be able to
about them,
talk.
Burnell, when they first get
No,
married.
there's plenty of married people
Thank
that talk.
you.
They
Okay.
talk at each other, around each other, upside down each other. Why do you
Exactly.
think the problem is communication? And then understand the difference is, of course, men and women communicate differently.
They do.
And we hear differently, and we speak differently.
And it takes
So
time
it takes
to
understand
that.
your different communication styles.
Okay, well, I am a different animal. I mean,
Yes,
I
you
grew
are.
up with 7 sisters and 4 other brothers, and we had to talk, otherwise you weren't going to eat.
Well, because if
So-
you look at statistics, why 67% of marriages that fail for a lack of communication. So 67% of the world, Burnell, is not being able to talk, and this is marriage.
And not only, like I said, not only not being able to talk, but not being able to listen.
Exactly.
Not being able to hear what the other person is trying to tell you. Because it's not so much that you're not talking, because you're talking. You're probably arguing. You understand what I'm saying? Because the problem is you're not listening to each other because you're not understanding each other. I can say one thing, and all 4 of us in this room heard something completely
different, yes.
differently.
Yes.
Different than what I said or what I thought I said. And that's a lot of problem too. Sometimes we think we're saying something, but our brain is going so fast that everything didn't come out.
because you're actually a lot of times you're not listening to what they're saying. You're already trying to get your response together.
That's right.
You're already trying to get your point across. So
Right.
while you're doing that, you're missing totally
You
what
missed the
somebody's
whole
bringing to the
exactly.
And that's communication.
That's
It
communication.
encompasses
Exactly.
everything.
Exactly.
Listening,
Yes.
understanding,
Right.
being able to talk.
Nonverbal cues.
Exactly.
What they do, how they do it. Yes.
Because a
Exactly.
lot
And
of
then
times
even
you're
taking it-
communicating silently.
Very
Right,
much.
exactly. Yeah, body language is a lot, but
It's
you also
huge.
have to take into consideration where a person comes from.
That's right.
You can take into
Yes,
consideration their
that's right.
background, their
Yeah.
upbringing, because I look at even in my marriage, I look at my husband and myself, and I grew up with both of my parents being together. My grandparents were together. I grew up with every uncle, with the exception of 2 that were married to the same woman
Right.
for 20-something plus
Right.
years, that are still married.
Right.
So when I come from that perspective, but then from him, he comes from his grandmother raising him and his mother raising him, being a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times in communication, when you're coming from what you know and they're
Yes.
coming from what they know, you both think you're right. It doesn't mean
Yes.
that somebody's
Ain't
wrong,
nobody
but
wrong.
you
That's
just
right.
have to
That's
be
right.
able to understand that, okay, maybe you believe this because
That's what you saw.
that's what you saw.
your life was.
Right.
Yes.
And a lot of times I think that we as, being a hot wife, it means that not just knowing that what you're bringing to the table, but also being able to understand another person's
right.
perspective
That's
in
right.
order to make sure that your relationship is going to thrive.
And being
You know,
able,
and-
exactly,
and-
to compromise.
and
It's a
compromise.
daily
Compromise.
compromise.
Yes,
And I
absolutely.
want to say that daily. Okay, please don't get it twisted, because so many people get in marriage with this expectation that they're going to understand all of these bullet points, just like when they feel like they're getting in a marriage and everything is already set, that there's no work that is required.
Right.
Marriage is work, whether it be fulfilling or aggravating. Either one of the two, you're going to be working
Wow, I like that.
constantly, and we have to be aware of that and be strong enough as women to embrace it and be able to listen to. Because strong women do have a problem sometimes with being able to submit. Oh, I know, that just hurts somebody, right? That's
enough.
submit.
That might be
can't
next
believe-
week's show. I mean,
About
2
submission.
things that I was going to say. That is so true. I couldn't even get to you, Burnell, on that one. We may have to come back to that one. About most women nowadays don't want to be married. I do not believe it. I don't believe the hype. I believe that's what it sounds good.
Yes.
It's what society told them to say. But I believe every little girl dreamed of her wedding day and that day when she was going to meet Mr. Right, Prince Charming, and get married. I believe it wholeheartedly. Now, I could be just living in my little glass box. But I'm saying to you that's what we're trained to say now. No, I don't need a man. I'm good. I got me. I'm doing me. No, you doing you with some whole lot of other stuff.
Right.
So absolutely, but perception is reality, and so your perception and how you saw it, like
Right.
A Love says, is what you frame your world around. But
Right.
it's a whole big old world out here,
Amen.
7 billion people. So we
Amen.
all got something else to bring to the table.
And we got one of our viewers, Stephanie Herbert. She said that oftentimes we listen through dirty filters.
Mm,
Oh, yes.
That's good.
so
That's
true.
good. That's
Yeah,
good.
that's true.
Yes, yes.
Because emotions are where your issues are. And most of the time we emotional.
Exactly.
We're not dealing in reality, we're dealing in emotions.
Right.
And usually our emotions are tied up to our issues that's happened in our past.
And a lot of
That's
times,
good.
when people in their past, I spoke to a lady the other day and she was telling me that a lot of times when she's in situations, it takes her a moment to really kind of express herself, because when she was a child, her parents brought them up to say, listen, you don't talk. When I say you do, point blank period. And so when you come up with that type of upbringing, a lot of times when you get in situations with people who are like Burnell, very aggressive and can communicate and say what he feels right off the bat, a lot of people don't have that type of ability to express themselves, and so they hold a lot in and they don't get their point across, and so they feel like they never heard.
Yeah.
And so you really have to take that in consideration when you're dealing with people,
Absolutely.
how their communication level is, because everybody, like you said, we communicate in different ways.
Yeah.
Even when you're speaking, you're not always really communicating what you're actually feeling and thinking.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Very true.
Boy, I tell you, so Burnell, do you want to interject on that? We got a few more minutes before we're out of here tonight.
Thank you very, very much, ladies. I really, really appreciate that. And I've gained a lot of insight dealing with women that are intelligent. And yes, I came from a background where I learned how to speak. That was my weapon, my shield. And you're right, a lot of us don't know how to do that, especially men. We're not communicators. Most of us are not effective communicators to a woman. You know, we are very, very primal in our direction, outlook, and desire. You know, straight up. But for those of us that can speak to the mind and the heart of a woman and saying, I want from you, I want to give you, I want us to have, then there's a growth ability in regards to what you're working with. And that makes for a hot wife as well as a hot husband and a wonderful life because, or for the cause, we can come across certain things. But like Angela stated, you know, a lot of things don't come easy. But I've come to notice in a lifetime of situations that sunshine does not define a relationship. It's the rain. Because everybody can dance in the sunshine, but how many people can weather the storm? And that's more or less where you find out your strength as well as your weaknesses. And once you can pull through that, you know, because Angela, most of us have been through things at our age, present tense. But for those who have yet to go through anything, because in this age, I mean, I never knew any of my grandparents, but I've heard people talk about their grandparents and great-grandparents. I've heard people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s speak about what they've gone through with their wives or their husbands and held on for the sake of the family, held on to each other because that was an ally. It wasn't great. They may not even have been in love with each other, but they respected each other and they had a partnership. These people now today, and I'm talking 50 down, don't even understand the concept of a real partnership because everybody's talking about a fish in the sea. I could just go fishing. Well, you might get some fish that's got some poison in it, but they don't see that.
Right.
Okay, everybody talking about the grass is greener on the other side, but it's astroturf. It ain't even real. But you don't know this until you get into it.
Yeah.
Like they say,
And we've got to discover these things. Okay, you've got to and some things only come with time.
That's right.
With time. I'm dealing with the fact that you are phenomenal women, not just good women, not just great women. You are phenomenal women because of who you are and what you went through. Everything that you've experienced in your life has brought you to who and where you are right now. And I love and respect that so much. But for those who have yet to get to where we are, we have the duty and responsibility of putting on what we're putting on right now and let them know that this is what it takes. If you want that hot wife mother, you got to be that man to talk to her. You just can't say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. You got to, look, I was taught years ago by my father. I was raised by my father. I said, you get a woman's heart, everything else will follow.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
You get her mind, everything else will follow. And yes, that is the truth. So my whole thing in that aspect is, you know, to get a hot wife, you know, or to make a wife hot. You know, deal with her mind and her heart, and everything else is aftermath. Don't worry about, you know, the displays that she's working with. If you feel that she's somewhat inappropriate on what she's dealing with in the direction, don't act like daddy. Let her know that as a partner, baby, I think you can be so much better if we try this. Not you or me, my, or I, but we, us, and our. That's another thing that we have to get back to. Everybody wants to point a finger instead of sharing in responsibility. Everybody wants to dump it off. A real partner will say, okay, well, how can we make this better?
Amen.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? We thank you so much for being on the show with us tonight. I know you guys don't believe this, but listen, this hour is up. You know, it goes so fast when we're having a good time.
Angela, you know we put it in.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So listen, I'm going to turn it over to A-Love for her to tell you how you can be a part of this each and every Monday night, part of Monday Domination, Hot Wife, Hot Life. Let them know what's going down, A-Love.
Well, before I do that, Burnell, I just want to say you were an amazing.
Yes.
Woo-hoo!
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for bringing
Yes.
a male perspective.
And
You really
keeping
did.
it real.
And
Keeping it
Amen.
100.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So we will be here every Monday night, 9 p.m. You can catch us on our website at HotWife-HotLife.com. You can catch us on Facebook at HotWifeHotLife. We are on Instagram and Twitter at _HotWifeHotLife. If you need to email us, you can do so at info@hotwife-hotlife.com.
All right. Well, we have concluded another show this evening. Listen, we are signing off. This is me, A. Fox,
I am K Rich.
And I'm A Love.
and we will see you again on next Monday night for Monday Domination.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.